Hey everyone, my name is Rose and welcome to my sewing channel. So if you're new here, I create weekly sewing content. I took a couple of weeks off due to the holidays. I did a little sewing off camera and I can share a couple clips of what I was making, and there's a couple little things right behind me. I mainly worked on stuff for my daughter, who you can probably hear a little cooing in the background. But today we're working back on something for myself. Today we're working more something on myself, and it's, I guess, a little scary for a couple of reasons. I haven't made pants in such a long time, so that's what we're working on. So that is what we're working on today. We're sewing pants, and it's more around the theme of this quiet luxury or coastal grandma. I really love this like pleated pant that is like really nice trousers that you can pair with maybe a beautiful sweater, and I can share some inspiration images. I did get my hands on a serger, so it was a Christmas gift for my family, and I've been using it so much. It's been making everything go so much faster. So a lot of these little things for my daughter were made with a serger, and we're going to use it today in this for the pants as well. So I'm using a pattern from Viki Sews. So for the pattern, we're using a pattern from Viki Sews. I sized up to match my hip. So usually with patterns, why this is like kind of a little challenging for myself is because pants are always fitting me so weird. My hips are always a little bit larger than my waist. So that will be the challenge for today. So I have my fabric cut for the shorts, and I also have it washed and laundered and dried, and we're ready to start sewing. So let's get into it. Also, if you're new here, I just hit 500 subscribers, and this is so big for me. So if you're new here and you haven't already subscribed, please like this video if you like this content so far, and please subscribe. That means so much to me. To make the waist smaller, I'm deciding to increase the pleats on the center front. They're going to increase both by 1/2 inch. So in total with the 4, it's going to be 2 inches smaller, and then it will fit from the waist to the hips. Have this really nice fabric. It's kind of has like a little bit of a shine to one side and it's matte on the other. I think this will be really nice for the summer especially. It does also have like a slight stretch, can't really tell from this point, but it does have like a little bit of a stretch, which is probably really nice for pants. So I noticed that my fabric was a little bit skewed at the top edge, so I decided to clip into the fabric and pull a thread. And what this helps to do is to make sure that you have a nice straight grain line from the top edge. So this sometimes happens when the fabric shop kind of cuts something a little funky. So I'm just making sure this is all perfect before I cut out my pattern. You want to make sure that your grain line, which is in the center, is very, very much centered from the edge. So I can measure here. So you want to make sure your pants are nice and straight. We're not doing any rushing here. This is slow fashion. These are pieces that we're going to have for a while. And you can just make sure everything is straight by measuring from here to your selvage. And I have my nice and neat all the way up, so it's ready to cut. Okay, so everything is cut out and I'm ready to start sewing. I'm working against a little baby sleeping, so I'm gonna do these little batches. The next step is to add the interfacing. I believe there's a piece where the pocket is, like the pocket opening. The waistband needs to be interfaced, and I think a few other little pieces. So I'm gonna cut that out and then press all the interfacing on, and then we're ready to start. So I also have to chop off the right side so that we have opposite sides, right and left, and I'm adding my interfacing to the front of the zipper and also all of the pockets. These are just some small steps to do before we begin sewing. And then also in addition, my new pleats are marked and they just need to be folded into place and given some pins. So in hindsight, I kind of wish I had added a stay stitch on the top of these before I did anything, but I think the next time I make these, I will also probably either do stay stitching or add a fusible interfacing along the top edge so it prevents it from overstretching, so I have like a proper fit and can make accurate corrections to my pattern. Pants are just so intimidating for like a few reasons. One being that pants are so difficult, and for me, and I know for a lot of other people, struggle with having the proper fit. So that's definitely something I'm a little concerned about. So I had to read the directions like over and over again, because also on the front fly, you have to trim off a section so that one side can be left side, one side can be right side. And I read the directions like 20 times just because I was so nervous that I was gonna do something I was gonna regret. But this is also like our test fabric, so if it has to get messed up, it can be on this. But I have everything kind of ready to kind of start sewing. All of my interfacing is pressed. I also have my pocket interfacing pressed. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna baste the side seams together and just check the fit. The waistband, I do want to make one alteration. The centerpiece goes a little bit past the center front, like the where there's that little clasp. It goes past the center front, and I just want it to cut off at the center front, so that's going to be moved back. On top of the waist is now 2 inches smaller, I believe, in total. I believe that also comes up to the top, so that correction needs to be applied to the waistband itself. So it's still incorrect. So I'm gonna have to fix that when the pant itself is fixed. So I'm going to sew everything together with the basting. Also, what's really funny, I'm reading the directions just a few times over, but the back rise is a little bit, I believe a little bit longer, a little bit shorter than the front rise. So, or the inseam length really. So what you have to do is you have to stretch one to meet the other. So matching the knee notches, you have to stretch one up and steam so that I think it's the front rise can kind of roll back really nice and neatly. So that's something I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pin the inseams together. I like to mark my dart point with some thread before using a straight ruler to mark the actual line and then sewing over that. So I'm on the portion where we're sewing the pocket to the pant itself, and it isn't quite clear where the lining actually has to be. So I kind of wish it said like pin the lining to the front of the garment and the pocket main, like the self fabric, to the back. I'm just kind of making this assumption. This fabric does look a little bit thinner here, and I believe this is the front pattern because this is, well, they're talking about the front piece right here. So this part is a little unclear, and I did go and check on some other like dress pants that I do have. They have like a little bit different construction, but I'm also just thinking, you know, when you put your hand in the pocket or when the pocket is on and it stretches open when you sit or something, you will see the back of the pattern first. So that is attached to the back piece. So I have all of the pockets re-notched because I ended up going over everything with an overlock. This is the seam that's always kind of raw when I'm inserting pockets. So I wanted to add this. I went back, added my notches, and then what I'm going to do is attach everything at the side seam. And they do say that they want there to be like hand basting to close the pocket because there is a pocket finish later, a top stitch. So I'm gonna go do that, aligning the side seam of the front and back together, and then you will sew down, sew out, scoop up the pocket, and then go down the side of the legs. So let's get into pocket sewing. So I'm at the point where the outside seam is completely sewn. I also just basted this pocket, so the pocket closure is basted. I still have to sew the inseams together, so that's the part where you have to match the notches of the knee and then stretch, I believe it's the front, no, sorry, you have to stretch the back inseam from the knee up to the crotch, so that the front rise kind of rolls backwards. So I think it's about like 1 centimeter or like a ½ inch under. So that's quite interesting as a pattern, as someone who's interested in pattern design, that would help do that. Or at least I think that's what is gonna help. So I just did the pocket and I sewed the inseam of the pant together, because then we're gonna sew from the front rise probably to the back rise or vice versa. I wanted to do like a little fit check, because then they do say that you should overlock your seams. For the fit check, I just put on the pant leg one at a time. Obviously the inseams are not together and everything fit fine. Now I'm going to sew all the inseams together so I can do a proper fit check. So here I am just adding the pins to the back and front rise and then sewing all of this in place. I then also do a nice press so that the seams are all nice and neat and open, so that when I throw this on, we can get an accurate fit. So I went in and also added a top stitch or basting all along the top edge, just to make sure I'm getting fit correct, because the fabric is a little stretched and a little stretchy, and I want to make sure that I take it in properly. So when I add the waistband, everything is fitting well. I still have the same issue where it is still significantly big on me. So I think what I'm going to do is pin out about a ½ inch on either side of the back rise and scoop it out from there. We're moving on to the construction of the zipper. So this is like the little fly attachment, and we just are sewing down the line and flipping it so that the right sides are out. And then I'm going to add a cover stitch. So I saw so many beautiful other ways of doing this, adding some Hong Kong finishes. For now, I'm just using my cover stitch, but I will love to do this on another make and clean finish everything with a Hong Kong finish. It looks beautiful. So to make my cover stitch look really nice, what I like to do with the ends is kind of just take the thread in like a wider needle and then kind of dip it back into about like a ½ inch of the cover stitch. This just makes it look really neat. I love to hear if you guys have any tips and tricks that you love to do with your sewing projects. I love learning new things. Like, for example, I just used a new shortening zipper technique where I use the zipper tape itself to cover the bottom edge, and it just looks so clean, and I don't know why I have not been doing this all my life. So after the zipper tape is sewn onto one side, we're going to move into the other, which is just a little bit more complicated. We have to fold back the additional seam allowance, add the thing, the fly piece that goes behind the zipper, and then add the top stitching. So this, I had used the pattern block just to outline everything so that the shape was nice and neat, and it was pretty seamless. I was pretty happy with the outcome. I think this is probably one of the more intimidating parts about making pants, because all of this is just so much more new to me than all the dress and top constructions. But the more you do something, the easier it is, and the more you can like wrap your head around it and make things neater. So I definitely plan on remaking these in another fabric soon. this is what I have so far. The zipper is in. I think I just need to adjust this. It's a little bit wonky. Otherwise, everything is fitting well. I threw it on one more time. I'm gonna take it in just a little bit more, and I adjusted these just a little bit. Everything is pretty well balanced. The side seams are straight, so well balanced. So the side seams are straight. They're not kind of coming forward or any of those really random things. It fits much better, I feel like, in my thighs now that it's on, and I think it's kind of like in the correct place. So the last step, I guess, would be to, before obviously hem it, which I kind of already pinned in place, is to add the waistband. So let's move on to the waistband. So I did notice a little issue in the fit without, well, as the waistband as is. So I had to go in and add a seam at the center back, more like a little bit of dart, and then I noticed a huge improvement in fit. So overall the fit is improved. I added like a little dart, and I took out another 1/2 inch from the center back. So this is also going to be hidden by the belt loop, which is even more perfect. I think somehow this will have to be altered in the pattern. I don't know exactly how this is going to be improved. I can also add like some small inner fusing to the top edge of the trousers, and then kind of fit the pattern on me the next time I make this, because I do really love this pattern, so I will make it again, because I do need to increase even more so the front pleats. I don't think I'm going to change anything in the back the next time I make this, except for having a seam at the center back for the waistband, because I do like that. It always helps improve the fit for me, for the waist especially. So final notes and kind of in closing on this pattern. I really loved it. I don't know why it took me so long to make pants, but these are exactly what I was looking for. Next time I'm making this, I'm going to be drafting a different waistband. So I saw a tutorial on how to do like a curved waistband, which I think is what I need, but I'm gonna look into a little bit more detail. I will definitely be adding the stay stitching to the top edge of the pant. So this would be probably in like a number 2 stitch size, all the way around the waistband, just to make sure that nothing is changing while I am trying to work into the fit. And I have already wrote down like all my pattern corrections on this little sheet that I'm going to insert. These will all be corrected so that I can apply everything to the next pattern. And I'm going to also pick up some bias binding so that I can add some more special features to the one I'm making next. So I'm planning on adding the bias binding to the waistband inside, and also the fly, and maybe a few other places. There's also a couple different features I would like to add to the next pant that I have coming up, such as like a little button to help to hem the pants. I think this is probably like a quick hem, obviously, so you can have it be like semi-cropped and then also full length. This is a really nice feature, especially if you're living in a climate where there's often rain or snow, so it kind of lifts the pants off the floor, and then when the weather is nice, it can be nice and extended down to the floor. I love this. I saw this on a pant that I pinned on Pinterest, and there's a couple other details that I might be applying to the next make, but overall, love this pattern. Very happy I made pants. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know what patterns you're trying next. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you. See you next time. And here is the final make. I styled it based on my Pinterest pins that I shared in the beginning of the video. I really hope you like this one. I'm already in the process of making my next one. So let me know if you'd like to see that, and you can follow me along on Instagram if you'd like some more detailed shots. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.